Welcome back to the deep dive. We have something today that I've been looking forward to and honestly dreading a little bit all week.
Chuckles. I know you mean.
We are tackling a monster. And I don't use that word lightly. We are looking at the Ramayana.
It's the definition of an epic. A true monster of a text.
It is, but here's the thing. Before you tune out thinking, okay, I know this story. Prince Rama, kidnapped wife, demon king, monkey army, happily ever after. I need you to just stop right there.
Please do.
Because the stack of notes, research papers, and analysis we're working from today is completely different from the story you might have heard as a kid.
Completely different.
Fundamentally.
This analysis we're digging into, it claims that everything you think you know about this text, that it's a religious biography or a nice moral bedtime story about being good, is, well, it's basically a surface-level reading.
A reading that misses the point entirely, according to this source.
Yeah, it really is. The source material we have today calls itself the uncensored practical Ramayana. And the premise is incredibly bold. It argues that if you read the Ramayana literally, as just history or mythology, you are missing about, 90% of the actual instruction.
90%?
Yeah. This analysis treats the text not as a story, but as a psychological mirror.
Okay.
And as a ruthless political treatise. And this is the part that got me, essentially a yogic map of the human nervous system.
A yogic map of the nervous system. That sounds incredibly intense for a story about a prince and some monkeys.
It is surprisingly gritty. You have to remember that Valmiki, the author, he didn't write this just to, entertain people around a campfire.
Yep.
He wrote it to document the raw, often brutal friction between dharma.
Which we usually translate as cosmic order or duty.
Right. The friction between that, dharma, and kama, which is personal desire. And the headline here, the secret the author apparently wanted to convey, is pretty dark.
Yeah, I have that highlighted right here in the notes. It stopped me in my tracks. It says, life is a tragedy, and dharma is the only structure that allows you to survive it with your sanity intact.
Exactly. It's not about living happily ever after. If you look closely at the story, almost no one lives happily ever after.
It's a really good point.
It's about survival and sanity in a chaotic world. It's about how you keep your head when the universe is actively trying to take it off.
That is a bleak starting point, but also kind of refreshing. It feels like it's stripping away the toxic positivity we sometimes attach to these ancient myths.
It is.
It's saying, look, life is going to be hard. Here's the manual for not cracking under the pressure.
Right. It's a no-fluff analysis.
Yeah.
And to even begin to understand this, we have to start with what the source calls the Ajatma decoding.
The symbolic algebra.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This is the symbolic algebra you need to understand the instruction manual. Because in this reading, the characters aren't just people who lived thousands of years ago. They represent components of you right now, sitting here listening to this.
Okay, let's unpack this symbolic algebra before we get into the plot, because it changes how you see every single scene. If we don't get this right, the rest of the deep dive won't land.
It really won't. This is the foundation.
So let's start with the protagonist, Rama. In this framework, who is he really? Not the prince, but the symbol.
So Rama represents the soul, or the Atman. He is the witness consciousness.
The witness consciousness.
Think of Rama as the part of you that is capable, skilled, divine, and observant. He's the eye that watches your life unfold. But, and this is key, he is bound by the script of the physical world. He plays his role perfectly, but he is the observer within you. He's that quiet, still center.
Okay, so Rama is the soul, that deep, unshakable part of us. Then we have Sita. She's not just his wife.
No. Sita represents the jiva, or the intellect, the individual awareness. The source notes she's born of the earth, which grounds her in nature and Prakriti. She is the mind that navigates the world. She is your awareness of, I am here in this body, in this situation.
So you have the soul and the intellect, the observer and the processor. Then the antagonist, Ravana. I always just saw him as a scary demon with 10 heads. Just a classic movie monster.
And that's the surface reading. In this psychological map, Ravana is the ego, or ahamkara.
The ego.
Yes. And the 10 heads, that's not just a cool creature feature to make him look scary. The source notes that the 10 heads represent the 5 organs of action: your hands, feet, speech, elimination, reproduction, and the 5 organs of perception.
Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin.
Exactly.
So he is a being composed entirely of sensory input and output. That's brilliant.
It is, isn't it? Ravana is the ego that is completely ruled by the senses. He's brilliant, he's powerful, he's accomplished. I mean, in the story, he's the king of the 3 worlds. He's a master of the Vedas. He's not stupid.
Not at all.
But he is arrogant and dominated by what he sees, hears, and wants. He is the I want principle personified. He's pure, unchecked desire.
That makes so much sense. The ego loves to consume. Then we have the supporting cast. What about Lakshmana, Rama's brother, the loyal sidekick?
Lakshmana represents focus and discipline, or tapas. Notice how in the story Lakshmana serves Rama. He is always by his side, and there is a legend that he never sleeps for the entire 14 years of exile.
I always thought that was just a mythic exaggeration, like, oh, he worked so hard he didn't sleep. A bit of hyperbole.
But symbolically, it means that true awareness, a strong connection to your soul, requires constant, sleepless discipline. You cannot have a strong soul, Rama, without discipline, Lakshmana, guarding the door.
Wow.
If focus falls asleep, if your discipline wavers for even a moment, the soul is vulnerable.
That is a great way to put it. And everyone's favorite, Hanuman, the monkey god.
This is the most beautiful connection in the source material, I think. Hanuman is prana,
The life force.
the breath. The source makes a connection here that the mind is usually a monkey, right? The monkey mind.
The monkey mind, absolutely. Jumping around, chaotic, anxious.
Exactly. But when that monkey mind is fully devoted to the soul to Rama, it becomes Hanuman. It becomes the breath, a powerful, focused, divine force. And the source emphasizes that the breath is the only force capable of crossing the ocean of samsara
Worldly illusion.
to retrieve the lost mind, to bring back Sita.
I love that. The breath retrieves the mind. So if we put this all together into the core formula of the epic, it's not just a kidnapping story.
Not at all.
It's a mechanism of suffering. It's a diagnosis of why we are unhappy.
Precisely. Here is the formula the source gives us. And listeners, I want you to really visualize this happening in your own head, in your own life. When the intellect, Sita, is with the soul, Rama, and protected by focus, Lakshmana, there is peace.
Right.
Even if they are living in a forest with nothing, they are happy. They are content.
Because the system is aligned. Soul, intellect, discipline, all together.
Right. But when the intellect gets fascinated by illusion, represented by the golden deer, this shiny thing that's not even real, and decides to chase that desire, she insults and abandons focus.
She literally forces Lakshmana to leave her side in the story. She drives discipline away with harsh words.
Correct. She pushes discipline away to chase a shiny object. In that moment of separation, the ego, Ravana, steps in and steals the intellect.
And the soul is left alone.
The soul, Rama, is left in agony. The only way for the soul to recover the intellect is to align with the breath, Hanuman, to destroy the ego. That is the internal war happening inside you right now.
That completely reframes the entire narrative. It's not history. It's a manual for mental health. It's basically saying you feel anxious or depressed because your intellect chased a deer, fired your discipline, and got kidnapped by your ego.
And you need to use your breath meditation, pranayama, focus to get it back.
Yes.
That's the Adhyatma Ramayana.
Incredible. So let's walk through the story with this lens. We're going to go chronologically through the outline, starting with section 1, the preparation and the crisis. We open in the Balakanda, the book of childhood.
The Balakanda starts with the myth of innocence. Rama is a young prince living in luxury. He represents the state of ignorant bliss. We all start there, or at least we want to stay there. But you aren't born ready for life. The source says you must be broken and rebuilt.
And that's where the sage comes in.
Enter the sage Viswamitra, the guru figure.
But he's not a gentle teacher, is he? Not like a Mr. Miyagi type.
Not at all. Viswamitra represents experience, hard experience. He shows up at the palace and demands that King Dasharatha hand over his teenage sons to go kill demons. He doesn't ask for them to go to a library. He wants them to go to a war zone.
And Dasharatha pulls the classic worried parent move. He says no. He offers to go himself. He wants to keep his kids safe.
Dasharatha here represents the blind parent archetype, or simply attachment. He thinks he's loving his children by keeping them in the palace, shielded from harm. But Viswamitra drops a hard truth that every parent and every person trying to grow needs to hear.
What's up?
He essentially says, protection weakens the child. If you want them to survive the world, they have to face the demons early. You cannot inherit strength. You have to forge it in the fire.
You have to get your hands dirty.
You do. So they go. And the first demon they face is Tataka. She's a female demon. And Rama hesitates. He raises his bow, sees a woman, and stops. He doesn't want to kill a woman. It goes against his code. This is a crucial moment, often controversial. Viswamitra screams at him, "Do not let compassion for gender obstruct duty." The analysis here is ruthless. It says that weakness and toxic traits have no gender.
It doesn't matter what form the weakness takes.
Exactly. If there's a weakness in your mind, a demon, you have to kill it. It doesn't matter if it looks soft or cherished or harmless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a comfortable vice. If it's a threat to your dharma, it has to go. No exceptions.
That's the uncensored part ticking in. It's about eradicating the flaw regardless of the packaging. It forces you to look at your own habits. Which soft demons are you letting live because they seem harmless or because you're used to them?
Exactly. Then we have the breaking of the bow to win Sita's hand. This is the Swayamvar.
The contest for her marriage.
The source calls this the breaking of the ego of strength. See, all these powerful kings come and try to lift this massive bow of Shiva, and they can't even move it. They're all about brute force.
They're trying to prove their might.
Yes. But Rama doesn't just lift it, he breaks it. The source points out that you cannot marry peace, which is what Sita represents here, until you shatter the arrogance of your own power. Rama doesn't win her by fighting the other kings. He wins her by breaking the symbol of violence.
So it's about transcending that need to show off strength. True strength doesn't need to prove itself.
Precisely.
So Rama wins, everything looks great, they get married, they go home, and we move to the Ayodhya Kanda. He's about to be crowned king, the confetti is ready, and then everything falls apart overnight.
The ultimate reversal of fortune.
This brings us to what the source calls the Manthara infection.
This is one of the most practical warnings in the entire text. Kaikeyi, Rama's stepmother, is historically a good woman. The text is clear on this. She loves Rama, maybe even more than her own son Bharata.
She was thrilled he was going to be king.
Absolutely. But she has a maid, Manthara.
The toxic friend, the ultimate hater.
The ultimate toxic friend. Manthara is this hunchback, bitter servant who has nothing to lose, and she whispers poison in Kaikeyi's ear. If Rama becomes king, you will be a slave. Your son will be nobody. They will lock you up. She plays on every single one of Kaikeyi's deepest insecurities.
And the source material has a great actionable insight here. It says, you are the average of the 5 people you listen to.
Exactly. It takes decades to build a reputation and a mindset. Kaikeyi had been a noble queen for years, but it took one conversation with a poisonous peer to destroy it all. It's a terrifying thought.
It is. Who do you have in your ear?
Kaikeyi listened to the toxicity, and her love turned into insecurity and fear. It's a warning to audit your inner circle. Who are you listening to? Who is whispering in your ear? Because eventually you will believe them.
So, because of this poison, Kaikeyi cashes in her favors. 2 boons the king had promised her, and demands Rama be exiled for 14 years and her son be crowned instead.
The worst possible outcome.
And this is where we see his character really shine. The source calls it samatvam, equanimity.
Yes. Think about the situation. He has the power. He is the people's favorite. The army loves him. He has Lakshmana, who is ready to burn the city down to make Rama king. He could have started a civil war and probably won.
Most people would have. It's not fair. I won the election. This is a coup.
Right. All the things we hear today.
But he doesn't. He accepts the variables he cannot control, his father's promise, Kaikeyi's demand, and focuses entirely on his reaction. He doesn't cry, he doesn't fight, he doesn't play the victim, he just accepts it. He basically says, okay, if the script says forest, I will be the best forester I can be. That level of emotional regulation is superhuman. Contrast that with his father, Dasharatha. He literally dies of grief. He can't handle it.
And the source is brutal here. It says Dasharatha's death is not romantic, it's a failure of detachment. It's a warning. If you make a human being the sole source of your existence, even your own child, their absence is fatal.
That's a hard lesson.
Attachment kills. Dasharatha couldn't survive the separation because his identity was entirely wrapped up in father of Rama. When Rama left, Dasharatha ceased to exist. He had no inner core.
So that ends the AOT section, and we move on to section 2, the forest, the distraction, and the politics of war. We are in the Aranya Kanda. Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana are in the forest. They're actually happy, right?
They are. The system is aligned. Soul, intellect, discipline. They have nothing, but they have peace. And here comes the distraction. Enter Surpanaka.
Ravana's sister.
Right. Now, usually she's just seen as a monster who just attacks them. But here, the notes describe her as unbridled lust. She represents raw, chaotic desire. She approaches Rama. He says no, he's married. She approaches Lakshmana. He says no, he's a servant to his brother.
So she attacks Sita, jealousy.
And Lakshmana cuts off her nose and ears.
Which, again, by modern standards, sounds incredibly violent and excessive. You rejected me, so you mutilated me.
It does. But the symbolic argument from the source is that you cannot negotiate with lust. You can't reason with it. You have to maim it. You have to cut off its ability to sense and perceive. But look deeper at Surpanaka's strategy after this happens.
This is the interesting part.
She is an agent provocateur. When she goes to Ravana to complain, she doesn't just say, "They hurt me, big brother. Go beat them up for my sake."
No, she changes the narrative entirely. She's a master manipulator.
She says, "There's a woman, Sita, who is so beautiful she is worthy of you. She belongs to you." She weaponizes his narcissism.
That is terrifyingly smart. She knows exactly which buttons to push.
Exactly. She knows exactly how to manipulate the ego. She appeals to his entitlement, not his sympathy. She starts a war not by asking for help, but by dangling a prize. She knows that the ego cannot resist possession. If she had just asked for revenge, Ravana might have been lazy, but she offered him a trophy.
And that leads to the golden deer, the illusion, the bait for the trap.
Maricha, the demon who turns into the deer. This is a fascinating bit of game theory described in our source as the Marucha Maneuver.
Okay, what's that?
Maricha knows Rama. He's faced him before and barely escaped. He knows Rama's power. He knows if he goes back to Rama in disguise, Rama will eventually figure it out and kill him. But he also knows if he refuses Ravana's order to become the deer, Ravana will kill him right now.
He's stuck.
Well,
Rock in a hard place.
So he chooses the exit that preserves his legacy. He chooses death by God, Rama, over death by a tyrant, Ravana. It's a lesson in choosing your exit strategy when you're cornered. If you're going down, go down in your own terms. He chooses a death with meaning over a pointless one.
But the tragedy happens because Sita, the intellect, falls for the deer. She wants it. It's so beautiful, so unique, she has to have it.
The fatal flaw. The intellect gets distracted by Maya, by illusion, and then she insults Lakshmana focus to get him to leave her side.
That's the mechanism we talked about. The intellect insults discipline to chase illusion. She actually questions Lakshmana's motives, accusing him of wanting her for himself if Rama dies. It's a low blow.
It's a terrible thing to say, but it shows how the mind rationalizes bad decisions when it wants something. When you want that golden deer, that new car you can't afford, that affair, that gamble, you will start attacking the disciplined part of your brain.
You find reasons why being disciplined is actually a bad thing.
You'll tell yourself, "Oh, you're just being boring, you're just being paranoid, live a little." You insult your own discipline to justify the chase.
And the moment discipline Lakshmana leaves, the ego, Ravana steps in and abducts the intellect.
Every single time. The moment focus wavers, the ego takes over.
So now the war begins. Rama is distraught. He needs an army. He goes to the monkey kingdom, Kishkinda. And here we get one of the most controversial moments in the entire epic, the killing of Vali.
The unfair kill. That is the Kishkinda Kanda. To get the monkey army, Rama needs to help their exiled prince, Sugriva, defeat his brother, the king, Vali. The problem is, Vali is basically invincible.
Right, he had a special power.
A boon from the gods. He would take half the strength of anyone who faced him in combat. So the stronger his opponent, the stronger he got.
A no-win situation.
Exactly. So Rama's solution is to have Sugriva challenge Vali to a fight. And while they're wrestling, Rama hides behind a tree and shoots Vali in the back with an arrow.
Yeah, I struggle with this one. It feels like cheating. Vali even asks him as he's dying, "You are a prince of Dharma, a righteous man. Why did you shoot me like a coward? I didn't even see you." What is the uncensored explanation for that?
Rama's answer is cold. He gives a few reasons, but the practical lesson the source highlights is that Rama destroys the nice guy myth here.
The nice guy myth.
The idea that you can always win by being noble and following the rules. Vali's boon rigged the game. It was an unfair advantage. Idealism without pragmatism leads to defeat. The source says, when you are up against an invincible enemy or an unfair system, you don't fight to be honorable in a way that guarantees your loss. You fight to win.
So you can't play by the rules if the rules are designed for you to fail.
You can't. Rama prioritizes the outcome, eliminating the threat to get his army and rescue Sita over the optics of a fair duel. It's a lesson in asymmetric warfare. If the game is rigged, don't play the game. Change the rules. Break the game.
That's a hard pill to swallow for people who want their heroes to be purely chivalrous, but it fits the realpolitik theme we've been seeing. It also contrasts to the leadership styles we see.
Right. Sugriva, whom Rama helps, is a mediocre leader at best. He's ruled by fear and pleasure. Once he gets his kingdom back, he forgets all about Rama and his promise to help. He just parties.
Until Lakshmana shows up furious.
Ready to burn the kingdom down. Sugriva needs threats to act. Rama, meanwhile, is consultative. He builds a coalition. He delegates. He holds people accountable. He doesn't just give orders. He creates a system. He inspires loyalty, while Sugriva demands it.
Let's move to section 3, the psychology of victory and the ego. The Sundarakanda, which is often called the most beautiful part of the text. This is where Hanuman takes center stage.
This section is all about the power of the subconscious, the power of prana, of the breath. Hanuman and the army reach the southern tip of India, and there's a giant ocean between them and Lanka. And they're stuck.
They don't know what to do.
And even Hanuman has forgotten his strength. He's sitting on the beach, looking at the ocean, thinking, I can't do this. It's too far. He represents that part of us that has forgotten our own potential. We all have that feeling of being small in front of a giant obstacle.
I do. And he needs someone to remind him.
And he needs Jambavan, the wise old bear, the mentor archetype, to remind him of who he is. Jambavan basically gives him a pep talk, recounting the story of his birth and his powers.
We all need a Jambavan, someone to say, hey, remember, you can fly. You've just forgotten.
We do. Mentorship unlocks the mental construct of impossible. And once he remembers, he expands to a massive size and he leaps. And when he gets to Lanka, he doesn't just find Sita and sneak out.
No, he does way more than that.
He allows himself to be captured, his tail is set on fire, and he uses that to burn the whole city down. It's brilliant.
Our source calls it strategic disruption.
Yes. It's not enough to solve the immediate problem, which was finding Sita. You have to cripple the enemy's infrastructure. Hanuman, striking fear into the heart of the ego, destroys their psychological safety before the actual army even arrives.
He sends a message.
He sends a message. If just the messenger can do this, imagine what the king will do. He completely demoralizes them.
Then we get to the Uttarakhanda, the war itself. The bridge is built, the army crosses, and the source focuses on this specific imagery of Ravana's heads. Rama keeps cutting them off with his arrows, and they just keep growing back.
It's a nightmare scenario, like a hydra. And it represents the futility of trying to kill the ego by attacking its thoughts. The heads are thought.
Oh, that's good.
You cut one negative thought, another grows. You suppress one desire, another pops up. You solve one problem the ego creates, and it just invents a new one to worry about. You can't win that way. It's an endless, exhausting battle.
So how do you kill it? How do you stop the thoughts from respawning?
Vibhishana, Ravana's good brother, who defected to Rama's side, gives Rama the secret. He says, you're aiming too high. Shoot him in the navel, the nabi. That is where the nectar of immortality is stored.
The navel. Why the navel? Why the gut?
The gut is the source of attachment and the primal survival instinct. It's the root. The ego only dies when you destroy the desire to be separate from the divine. You have to strike at the root, not the branches.
So you don't fight the thoughts themselves?
No. You fight the attachment that fuels them. You have to hit the ego where it lives, in the deep primal desire for self-preservation and separation.
Speaking of Vibhishana, the source calls him the chief data officer. I laughed out loud at that.
Chuckles.
Yeah.
It fits, though, doesn't it? The Vibhishana algorithm. He was the only one in Lanka looking at the hard data. He was the Cassandra, the ignored prophet.
What was the data he was bringing?
He went to Ravana and the war council and said, look, Rama killed Vali. Rama built a bridge over the ocean. Our spies say his army is huge and their morale is unbreakable. We are outmatched. He basically brought charts and graphs to the war room.
And Ravana's response?
Ravana fired him. He banished him. Ravana fired his best advisor because the data hurt his feelings.
It's the classic dictatorial downfall.
Ignoring the metrics because they contradict the ego's narrative.
Right.
Ravana preferred a comforting lie from his sycophants to an uncomfortable truth from his expert, and that is why he lost.
Exactly. And then contrast Vibhishana with Kumbhakarna, the other brother, the giant one who sleeps for 6 months at a time.
The tragedy of blind loyalty. This is a heartbreaking character. Kumbhakarna is the guy who knows the boss is wrong. They wake him up for the war, and he immediately tells Ravana, you are an idiot. You have doomed us all. What you did was immoral and stupid.
So here's the truth.
He knows, but he fights for Ravana anyway because we are family, he's my brother, it's my kingdom, and he dies, tragically.
What's the lesson there? What does the source say?
Competence without ethics is just an efficient way to dig your own grave. Kumbhakarna was maybe the most powerful warrior in the entire epic. But his loyalty to a sinking ship isn't a virtue, it's suicide. His misplaced loyalty made him an accomplice to his own destruction.
That leads us perfectly into Section 4. The source material shifts gears here and presents what it calls the hidden manual, the 33 unconventional laws of power. We've touched on a few, but let's go deeper into these specific strategies. These are the tactical gems Valmiki hid in the narrative.
These are pure gold. This is the Machiavellian side of the text.
Let's start with the Kaikei protocol. We mentioned it earlier, but looking at it purely as a strategy is, well, it's pretty sharp.
It's about leverage. She held those boons, those IOUs from the king, for years. She earned them in a battle years and years ago. She didn't cash them in for jewelry or a vacation or a small favor. She waited.
A perfect moment.
She waited for the moment of maximum leverage, the night before Rama's coronation.
Source says timing is more valuable than the asset.
Correct. If she had used them a year earlier, nobody would care. It wouldn't have had the same impact. If she used them a day later, Rama would already be king and it would be too late. She struck when the cost of saying no was highest.
But the warning attached is crucial.
Absolutely. She won the deal but lost her social capital. She destroyed her reputation. She got what she wanted but was hated for it for the rest of her life. So, use leverage, but know the cost. You can win the battle and lose the war of public opinion.
Then there's Angada diplomacy. Angada, Vali's son, goes to Ravana's court as a messenger before the final battle.
And he performs this incredible act of psychological warfare, psyops. He plants his foot in the ground and challenges anyone in Ravana's court of heroes to move it. If they can, he says, the monkey army will go home.
And nobody can. Not even Indrajit, the most powerful son.
Nobody can budge it. It wasn't about the foot. It was about showing the enemy that their strongest generals were weaker than a monkey's leg. It broke their morale before the final battle even started.
Small, undeniable displays of dominance are more effective than weapons.
Exactly. It made the enemy doubt their own strength. It sowed fear in the ranks without firing a single arrow.
What about the Nala Sethu? Nala is the engineer who builds the bridge to Lanka.
This is the law of meritocracy. Nala wasn't a king. He wasn't the strongest warrior. He was a Vanara, a monkey. But he was the son of the celestial architect. He knew how to build things. And when it came to building the bridge, he was in charge.
Everyone had to listen to him.
Even the high-ranking leaders, even Hanuman, had to listen to him. In a crisis, the technician outranks the politician. You have to let the person who knows how the nuts and bolts work have the final say. If you let politics drive engineering, the bridge collapses.
That is a lesson for every modern company, every government project. And then the Indrajit strategy. Indrajit, Ravana's son, he's a really tough opponent.
He's the master of asymmetric warfare. Indrajit knew he couldn't beat Lakshmana or Rama in a straight sword fight, so he didn't try. He fought from the clouds, invisible. He used illusions. He used chemical warfare, the snake news, the Nagapasha. He created chaos.
He didn't play by their rules.
Never. Lesson is, if you are the underdog, never fight on the enemy's terms. Be invisible. Be unconventional. If they are strong, be elusive. If they are direct, be deceptive.
And finally, a favorite of mine, the Sanjivani Protocol. This is another Hanuman moment.
It is. Lakshmana is mortally wounded by Indrajit, and the only thing that can save him is a specific herb, the Sanjivani, that grows on a specific mountain in the Himalayas. So Hanuman is sent to get it.
And he goes. He flies all the way there.
But he gets to the mountain, and it's covered in herbs. They're all glowing. He can't identify the right one, and he's running out of time. So what does he do?
He brings the whole mountain.
He brings the whole mountain. This is the ultimate management lesson. Don't just deliver the feature, deliver the platform. Don't come back with an excuse like, I couldn't find the herb, or I wasn't sure which one it was.
Come back with a solution that covers all the bases.
Yes. He eliminated the risk of failure by bringing the whole ecosystem. That is resourcefulness. The source puts it as, don't bring the herb, bring the mountain. It's about extreme ownership of the outcome.
I love that. Bring the mountain. I'm going to use that. Okay, moving to section 5, relationships and the dark side of love. The source says this isn't modern romance.
It definitely isn't. The Ramayana explores relationships, but not in the rom-com way we're used to. Let's look at the Ravana complex, the intellectual narcissist.
We all know this person.
We do. Successful, brilliant, articulate, maybe even spiritual in a performative way. Ravana was a great devotee of Shiva. But they have a fatal flaw. They cannot handle the word no.
Rejection destroys their reality. Their entire self-image is built on getting what they want.
Completely. When Sita rejected him, his entire empire became meaningless. Didn't matter that he was king of the three worlds. The narcissist is a black hole of need. Their ego is so fragile it requires constant validation, and one refusal cracks the whole shell.
And the woman stuck in that orbit is Mandodari, his wife. Her story is so tragic.
Mandodari's tragicomedy. She is a good woman. The text describes her as noble, beautiful, intelligent, and she tries to fix him. She tries to reason with him. She begs him to return Sita. She stays by his side, hoping her goodness will rub off on him.
She thinks, if I just love him enough, he will stop being a demon.
And he doesn't. He never does. The lesson here is painful, but necessary. You cannot love someone into being a better person. Goodness will not save a toxic partner. Their badness will consume you.
That's a hard truth.
Mandodari loses her husband, all her sons, her kingdom, everything. The source is blunt. If you're with the Ravana, you have to leave. You cannot fix them. They will pull you down with them.
That is heavy. Then there's the invisible partner, Urmila, Lakshmana's wife. We barely hear about her.
The Urmila sacrifice. This is often overlooked. While Lakshmana is out there being a hero for 14 years, fighting demons, serving Rama, Urmila stays in Ayodhya. Legend says she slept for all 14 years so that Lakshmana could stay awake, that she psychically took on his share of sleep.
What does that represent symbolically?
It acknowledges that great missions often stand on the unacknowledged sacrifices of partners. Lakshmana couldn't be Lakshmana without Urmila absorbing the domestic burden, the waiting, the silence. It's the spouse of the soldier, the partner of the startup founder. They carry the weight in the background so the hero can fly.
A silent, uncelebrated strength.
Exactly. And finally, the Rama-Sita dynamic. What holds them together? It's built on shared values, not shared hobbies or just physical attraction. It's a relationship built on dharma, on duty. The source contrasts this with Ravana, a relationship built on shared pleasure like Ravana, and his harem collapses under stress. But a relationship built on a shared mission endures separation, war, and silence.
They're looking in the same direction, not just at each other.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
They're partners in a cosmic mission, not just a romantic couple.
Now, you have to go to the dark place. Section 6, Uncomfortable Truths, Trauma, and the Ending. The source material was very clear that we cannot skip the parts that make us cringe.
If we skip the ugly parts, we aren't being honest with the text. We can't just cherry-pick the nice, heroic moments and ignore the rest.
Okay, let's talk about the Shambhak Vad. This is in the Uttarakhanda, the final book, which some consider a later edition, but it's part of the accepted canon. Rama kills a Shudra named Shambhak.
Yes, for performing unauthorized austerities. For meditating in the forest, essentially.
This is the most hated part of the text for modern readers. It seems cruel, unjust, and deeply casteist. It feels contradictory to the compassionate Rama we saw earlier. Why would he do that?
It does, and we have to be clear. We are reporting on the analysis in the source here, not endorsing the action. The political truth the source extracts is about the tyranny of structure. It argues that Rama, as king, prioritized systemic stability over individual liberty.
What does that mean?
In that ancient social context, the belief was that if people stepped outside their assigned roles, their caste duties, the cosmic order, the Dharma, would collapse, leading to chaos. A Brahmin's child had died in the kingdom, and the king's advisors blamed this violation of social order. So Rama, as king, crushes the anomaly to keep the machine running.
So it's not about him being mean, it's about the ruthless, impersonal logic of the state.
Exactly. The burden of the crown is crushing anomalies. It's a dark lesson that the state often crushes the individual to preserve the system. It's a warning about how institutions work. They prioritize their own survival over your freedom.
And then, the Agnipariksha, the trial by fire. After Ravana is defeated, Sita has to walk through a massive fire to prove she is pure.
On the surface, it's a test of chastity, which feels outdated and deeply offensive to a modern audience. It's a horrible thing to ask of a trauma survivor.
It is, but the source points to an esoteric meaning.
A much deeper one. Fire represents burning away ego imprints. Sita had been in the energy field of Ravana, surrounded by trauma, fear, lust, and toxicity for a year. The source says you cannot return to your higher self, Rama, after deep trauma without going through the fire of transformation.
So it's not about proving purity to others, it's about purifying herself for herself.
It's about processing the trauma. You have to burn the past to be reborn. You cannot just walk out of hell and pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You have to go through the fire of purification therapy, healing, facing the pain, to clear the imprints the trauma left on your soul.
But even after that, and this is the ultimate tragedy, Rama abandons her. In the Uttarakhanda, he banishes a pregnant Sita to the forest.
He does. Because a washerman, a random citizen, is gossiping about her reputation, questioning if the queen was faithful while she was a captive.
And Rama overhears this and can't let it stand.
This is what the source calls the secret author intent. It is the ultimate sacrifice. The king represents the state. You cannot have a private life in public office.
To lead is to suffer.
Exactly. If Rama had kept Sita, he would have been a good husband, but a compromised king in the eyes of his subjects, creating instability. He chose the crown over his heart. And the source points out Rama didn't remarry. He lived as an ascetic in his own palace. He commissioned a golden statue of her to sit by his side in ceremonies.
He suffered too.
He suffered in the palace just as much as she suffered in the forest. It's not a happy ending, it's a duty ending. It says that sometimes doing the right thing for your role breaks your own heart.
And the final uncomfortable truth. Karma for God.
This is the terrifying secret of the whole epic. Karma is inescapable, even for Rama, who is an avatar of Vishnu. The text suggests that Rama suffered separation from Sita because of curses from previous lives or from his own actions, like the sneaky way he killed Vali.
So even God has to pay his debts.
Even God, when he takes human form, submits to the laws of physics and consequences. The source says, if God must weep for his actions, so must you. There is no exemption clause for the wealthy, the powerful, or the divine. Gravity applies to everyone. Karma applies to everyone.
That is heavy. It really strips away the idea that if you are good, nothing bad will happen to you. Rama was the perfect man, the perfect king, and his life was a sequence of tragedies.
Precisely, that's the whole point.
So let's bring this home, the outro. We've deconstructed the text, stripped away the fluff, and looked at the raw machinery. What is the final reality check from this uncensored reading?
The reality check is that Dharma is not goodness. It is not being nice. It is cosmic law like gravity. It doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about alignment and consequence. If you jump off a cliff, gravity will kill you. Not because it hates you, but because it is the law. Dharma is the same.
And the source says, the listener, us, we are in the forest mindset. We are living in exile.
You are likely in your own Aranyakanda. You are chasing a golden deer. Maybe it's money, status, a promotion, a person who is bad for you, a title. And because of that chase, because you are distracted by the illusion, you have lost your Sita.
Your peace, your inner calm.
Your peace.
Yeah.
You are anxious, you are stressed, you are separated from your own intellect, which has been hijacked by your ego's desires.
So what's the call to action? How do we get out of the forest?
You have to wake up the internal Hanuman, that energy, that devotion, that breath. You have to stop chasing the deer. You have to summon your disciplined Lakshmana back to your side. You have to use your energy to burn down the fortress of the ego. You have to actively retrieve your mind from the distractions.
It's active, not passive. You can't just wait for peace to come back on its own.
No. You have to fight the war for it. It's an internal battle.
And the final thought from the source material, the one we should leave with.
Safety is an illusion. Virtue guarantees meaning, not happiness. Do not be the victim of your story. Be the hero of your struggle.
Virtue guarantees meaning, not happiness. I think I'm going to be thinking about that one for a long, long time. It completely changes the goal of life from being happy to being significant.
That's the Ramayana.
Thank you for taking us through this unvarnished and frankly difficult look at the epic. It's definitely not the story I heard as a kid, but it feels like the one I needed today.
It's the story you need as an adult.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.